Hey guys, I'm Justin with Legato Financial Group. Our firm is passionate about helping educate consumers, which is why we're powering the Gaining Interest podcast. The podcast of quick conversations with industry experts on topics that you want to know about, from sports to dining to healthcare and automotive, and really everything in between. It's hosted by one of the greatest local personalities that I've met, that's John Ramsey.
I'll tell you why I love this podcast, because it's all about community. We used to call it water cooler talk, and that no longer exists. But if it's interesting to you, it's interesting to us. We encourage you to tell your friends. As Justin mentioned, we're going to talk about everything under the sun. We will be gaining interest, and we appreciate you watching. Welcome once again to Gaining Interest, powered by Legato Financial Group. You know, the city of Louisville has laid claim to the title of best college sports town in America. Now, you may get a few arguments there, but you will not get any disagreements that we are football crazy here in the city of Louisville. And the reason being is my guest, head coach Jeff Brohm, who is a Louisville boy, and he is back, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, Coach, thanks for coming in and spending time with us.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, John.
All right, let's chat a little bit about when you first came to town. There was a special kind of excitement because obviously you succeeded at Trinity, University of Louisville, in the professional ranks. It was like, okay, here comes the hometown Messiah, he's back. But for you, you know, this wasn't just another job. It wasn't just another coach for us as fans, but for you, this was different too. Tell us about your feelings coming back to Louisville.
Well, it's great to be back in this town, and I take a lot of pride in representing this city the best I can, and it means a lot to me. And I think anytime you have somebody taking over the reins and trying to build this football program to where we all want to see it go, that's kind of been there and done that and been around a lot of the same nucleus of people that we've all known over the years. That means a lot. And I just think, I think people around here know that I'm going to do everything in my power to help this football program do well, to represent the city in the best fashion we possibly can. And I take a lot of pride in knowing that we can get things done here. And we have the resources, we have the people, we have the fan interest that wants to see teams succeed and play at a high level, and it's my responsibility to get that done, and I'm going to work hard to do it and enjoy doing it. But when you can achieve great things, really, it's great for everyone involved, and not just the team and the coaches, but all the fans. So that's what we're trying to do. We want to have some fun along the way doing it, but we think we can get that done, and we're looking forward to years to come.
Yeah, you know, Coach, a lot of the reason I think for the excitement was the fact that you win. I mean, wherever you've been, you win, and you develop a culture of winning, and you didn't disappoint. First year, 10-2 in the regular season in a tough ACC conference, exceeded expectations for the fan base. How did you feel about that first year? I mean, I would hope you celebrated a little bit, but I also know you hold the bar very high.
Well, it was a good start, and I think that the fans came out in full force, supported our football team. Our players felt that. They played very well at times. We got off to a very hot start, and 10-1 at one point in the season, feeling really good about ourselves, and then slipped a little bit at the end. But a lot to learn. But we know we can get it done. And every year the schedule will probably get tougher, and new teams and opponents will get on there, which is great for our fans. But we can win here. And the time is always now to make it happen. We don't like to look too far down the road. We want to try to win this year. And this season is approaching, and we're going to have numerous competitive games ahead of us, but our team has been working hard, and we understand what it takes to get there. Luckily and fortunately, I've been blessed to be around a lot of great coaches, a lot of great players over my career, and learned what it takes to do it, what all you're going to have to put forth to find a way to win. But the margin is so small that everybody has to do their part. The head coach, the full-time coaches, the assistant coaches, the players, but everybody has to do their part. But if you do, special things can happen.
Yeah, Coach, you've worked with a lot of great coaches, but with that being said, I think the secret sauce is developing a culture, because football is such a team game, of positivity, and everyone to know that, hey, you're being held accountable, whether you're a coach or a player, and you've got to pick up and do your part. I know that's a tough thing to define, but it is one of those things I think is a must-have for a successful team. How do you go about that? Is it looking for character kids? Is it making sure you find some leaders to set the tone? How does that work?
Well, I think it all starts at the top, and like you said, I've learned from a lot of great coaches, Howard Schnellenberger being one of them that I had a chance to play for here, that really set the bar high and achieved championships in the NFL, college football level. And I just think that the head coach has to raised the bar himself, and the players have to see the amount of time and work that he's invested in the program, and that he's going to do his part, and that it means something to him, and that things just don't go by the wayside if you're not doing what you're supposed to. So it starts with myself, and then our coaches got to do their part. And we've got a lot of guys on our staff that are really good people, a lot of guys that have played here, a lot of guys that have ties here, they've coached here, a lot of guys that played in the NFL, and there's a great mix. But in that mix, all of these guys love living in this city, and they love being around this town and representing this university, and they know what can be achieved here if we all work together to get it done. So I think if our players see us doing our part and really diving deep into this and making sure we're working hard and having a plan and having answers for problems when they come up, then they're going to respond. I just think right now everyone has worked really hard. We know what's ahead of us. You can't take shortcuts, but our players have done a great job. So, every year the team's going to be a little bit new, and there's going to be some new additions. But these guys, I think, are really getting geared up for the season. We're fired up for it. Any tough game that comes about, we want all the fans to come out in full force, and we want to try to win it.
Coach, you came at a time of transition in terms of recruiting. Now we have the NIL, we have the portal, and you maneuvered that very well, very successfully thus far. Talk about a little of that. I would hope that there's still a relationship with that player and coach, or a fit that matters. Does that still weigh into the equation? How much of it is portal, NIL? And I mean, that's a tough environment. You came in right during the height of that when it first began. So how has that been for you?
Well, recruiting is a little more challenging now because there's just a lot more factors that go into it. But without question, the core principles and values and the base of building relationships and building trust and letting these guys know about us as coaches, about our program, what we can do for them, how we can do it, how we've done it before. There's proven examples that has happened in the past, so it's not just lip service, which is what you get a lot now in recruiting. So we try to really push past that. I think anytime we get people on campus here and they see our facilities, they see this great town, they see what we have to offer, they see the people get around them, it's always a plus. But then, of course, there's other factors with the NIL and the things like that that you just have to partake in. You got to make sure that all bases are covered. So it revolves a whole lot more that goes into it, but the same core principles are there. We got to make sure we win in that aspect as well.
Yeah, something I think that is true with you and your coaching staff that I love and makes me proud to be a fan of the Louisville Cardinals is a lot of times we talk about how important it is for the student athlete to find a fit for them. But you want a fit for you and your team as well. You're looking for high character guys, and you're looking for guys who can lead. Talk about that, because I think a lot of times we say, oh, as a kid want to come here to see, but there are probably a few athletes that you've said, not a good fit for us.
Well, you're correct. And, everything matters in talent and speed and strength. All that is great. But, you do want guys that have heart, and they want to work at it, and they're hungry, and they're out to prove themselves, and they got a chip on their shoulder. So that is important nowadays. I think, as we recruit guys, I tell guys, even on our team and guys recruiting, a lot of guys in the NFL aren't the most talented guys, but they're the guys that work the hardest. They're the guys that are the most committed. They're the best teammates. And all those things have to be developed. The great thing about football is it is a team sport. So even though, there might have one or two superstars, everybody's got to play a part. And every year it might be a little bit different. Your role might change. But if you work hard, if you grind away, if you believe in what you're doing, if you don't allow setbacks to, hinder your desire and your hunger to be great, you can achieve it. So I just think right now we're trying to build that attitude, and we're trying to instill that in our players. I think our coaches do love being here, so they see it from them. Nowadays there's so much movement in the college coaching ranks. We have the same coaching staff we had last year. All 10 assistants are back. No one has left. That's very uncommon now. People are always trying to move and go other places, but these guys like it here, and they know we're this close, and we just got to put that time in.
Well, I think a lot of that is your leadership, Coach. I think I've talked to a lot of your assistant coaches, and they love working for you because, as I said, that you lead by example. That work ethic is contagious, so I congratulate you on that. I'm curious, being a quarterback, and of course now the head coach of the University of Louisville Cardinals, I don't care though if it's a toy bowl or college or the NFL Super Bowl. I don't care what it is. It seems like it does revolve around the quarterback. So question for you, I don't expect you to say, okay, here's my starter or that, but what is a quarterback that you think, let's say past or present, that you would say, okay, that quarterback would fit perfectly in my system. That's the kind of quarterback I'd like to see. Is there someone you go, I'm looking for those attributes?
Well, I tell you, we try to make sure that we understand that position is vitally important to success, but it can come in a lot of different flavors. And while I may have played the game a certain way, that doesn't mean you have to play it that way. And so every player has some different characteristics and unique talents. So as we go look for the next quarterback, we're wide open. If a guy can show great talent and the ability to throw the ball and can improvise and is a good leader and is tough, we weigh all those things. And every year it'll be a little different, but we try to build the offense around the quarterback and not kind of say, hey, we only need this type of quarterback. And every year it could be different. I feel like this year coming into the season, we went and got a transfer by the name of Tyler Shuck, who's had a few injuries, but he's played some good football, but he's a big, strong quarterback. He can throw the football, but he's a pretty good athlete. He's had some challenges and adversity, but he's handled those. And sometimes when you get a battle-tested quarterback who's been through it, that experience weighs into it. And not only that, it's his 7th year, which doesn't happen a whole lot in college football now.
Right, yeah.
7th year senior. He's already got
out of
married.
Texas, correct?
Out of Texas. He got married a couple months ago. We changed our practice schedule, believe it or not, to make sure he could get to the wedding, which was in San Diego. But he's really just a mature young man, and you need that. And we've got young quarterbacks around him that are improving, getting better as well, that we feel good about. But it's just an important position. But to me, we have to be flexible enough as an offense and as a team to realize that everyone's different, and we just got to make sure we mold it around his strengths.
Coach, you and I just talked a little bit about the NIL and the portal. My question for you is this. Now, let's say you're a highly rated high school prospect. How hard is it now for high school kids with, you've got guys who are proven or in a portal, you've got NIL, all of that. I'm just wondering, how hard is it for a high school star, like you were at Trinity, you were recruited by Notre Dame. How hard is it to get those kinds of offers? Does that change for the athlete as well?
Well, I think that your big-time talented players in high school are all going to have plenty of options, and that won't change. What has happened is the guys that maybe aren't quite fully developed yet and aren't quite as visible to be seen as a extremely highly ranked recruit will have a harder time getting on a team, because teams are going to save a little bit of room for the transfer area to kind of continue to gain experience and improve their team. So it kind of has hurt the high school recruiting a little bit to that aspect. I know from our vantage point, we still try to take plenty of high school prospects. We think it's important to build your team with young guys, especially from around the state and around the vicinity, that want to be here, that it means something to them, that they're going to be invested in it, that they're going to put in the extra work. And then, of course, we build it from guys around, and then we every year you adapt and adjust the roster and gain a little bit more experience through the transfer portal. That's kind of how we do it. We normally take older transfers that maybe have 1 year left, or maybe at the most 2, but they're coming here with a purpose. There's a reason that they're coming here, and it's to prove themselves and to go out with a bang. And to this point, we've had pretty good success with that, and we want to continue that.
I'm curious, Coach. Obviously, I love the knowledge and the fact that you're able to share it and articulate it so well. But a lot of folks out there probably wonder, what's a typical day like for a head football coach? I know how busy your schedule is. And now that I work for the city, I've seen the mayor's schedule, and you kind of mirror each other in that it seems like every half hour you're booked. Without going into too much detail or over my head, what is a typical day like? Do you meet with your coordinators in the morning? Do you, I know there's practice, there's, keeping an eye with your strength coach and how that's going. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, believe it or not, recruiting is more of a full-time job now than it's ever been, and requires a lot of time and effort, and you got to put it in. So that is kind of what really occupies a lot of time, but a lot of planning. Now, with that said, we want to make sure we spend as much time around our team and around our players, and as much time doing actual football study with our coaches and staff, and making sure we're improving our team while we're recruiting. And unfortunately, it's just like brushing your teeth. You can't take off the recruiting aspect, but you got to make sure that you set aside time to improve your football team, to make sure that you're around these players and that you're developing relationships, getting them to be the best that they can be. And then you're just going to have to use the extra time to recruit on the side. And of course, there's different times of the years where that recruiting picks up. So, it's really about, spending a lot of time doing it. The hobbies I have are less and less every year. There's not as much time to kind of, play golf and take long trips. So you kind of involve your family to, hey, come on over to the office and be around here. I got to be here. There's things I have to do, and you let them kind of hang out with the players, which they probably like doing more so than hanging out with me anyway. So
I hear you.
You just make it more family-like for your family, the coach's family, because there's just a lot of time we got to spend over there, and if you don't do it, you're probably not going to win. So it's just a matter of you got to make the choice. Do you want to win or do you not? So right now, the good thing is I'm in my hometown. I know a lot of people here. So spending time at the office, spending time doing football is something that doesn't bother me. And, from when I wake up to when I go to bed, yeah, there might be a little time to sit, put my feet up on the couch, but really you're working and you're just trying to make it the most fun you can, because it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of effort, but you have to put it in. And you have to be willing to sacrifice to do that. But we try not to make a big deal of it, but just go full speed ahead, have fun while we're doing it, and really just kind of dive into your players, and at the same time figure out a way to dive into the recruits as well.
Coach, your players, your coaches, and now us as fans, we understand you really are. You have a special makeup, a really high level skill set. Success everywhere, as I said, whether it be Western Kentucky, Illinois, UAB, Louisville, in the professional ranks as well, both as a player and then as a coach. And we can go on and on. What do you look for in a coach? You've mentioned the fact that you've had success as far as continuity and coaches wanting to stay here. And although you gave a lot of the credit to the city, I think a lot of the credit is also you and your style. What do you look for when you look to hire an assistant? What do you look for?
Well, I've been around the block a little bit now. I'm 53 years old, so I've been able to play and then coach and be able to learn along the way, and I've learned a lot. I didn't start out as a great coach. You just kind of keep working at it and understand, these are the things you have to do. But, the main thing really I look for now is character in a person, really the same values that someone should look at when they're hiring somebody for their workforce, and I've made the mistake before of going off credentials and what someone has accomplished in the past, and I've overlooked a few character questions, and they've been mistakes. So as we proceed forward, our best teams have been when we have high character people that are willing to work really hard in collaboration with each other, not point fingers at each other, but when something goes bad, point them at ourselves and figure out a way collaboratively to make this thing better. And I just think if you surround yourself with really good people that are willing to work and not scared to take the blame, and that they're humble, good things can happen. And then from there, they're all going to know football to a certain degree. If we got to teach them a little bit here and there, we'll do that. But I just think you need good people. These young men want to be around quality people that care for them on and off the field, that can build a relationship and get to know them and their family. And that's what you want to try to do. And it's not always perfect. We all have our own flaws, but you have to have a good heart, and you have to be in it for the right reason. And these kids want to have success. And what I believe is when you win, that's the most fun. So we can have fun while we're doing it, but your goal is you want to try to win. You want to try to be the very best you can be. You want to challenge yourself every day you step out there. Now I need to raise my level of play. And I just think if we're all doing that, and if we're all working hard and working together, good things normally can happen.
Now, I talked to a few fans before I came in to talk to you, and I said, what question would you ask Coach Brohm? And a lot of people like to reminisce a little bit about how good a quarterback you were, and the fact we got a big win over Michigan State in a bowl game your senior year. So favorite U of L story, okay? So whether it be a Coach Schnellenberger story, or maybe a win on the field, or maybe something that happened off the field.
Well, there's been so many. I really did cherish my time as a player here. Coach Schnellenberger taught me a lot. When you come play for a championship caliber coach that was actually, even though he's from Southern Indiana, he's really from Louisville and his roots are here. You saw what it meant to him, and you saw the weight that he carried around the community, and that people, man, they just listened to every word he said. And the knowledge he had from coaching with Barry Bryant and Don Shula, and in the NFL and at Miami Hurricanes when they won the national championship. Great quarterbacks like Joe Namath and Jim Kelly down,
and you,
and possibly me, I guess. But you know what? It's just fun to see that aspect in coaches and in people, and you try to, even my high school coach and Dennis Lampe at Trinity High School, you learned so much about. The guy just loved his players, and his players loved playing for him. And yeah, he knew a lot of football, but man, the part off the field was what really set him apart and helped him win a bunch of championships. So you kind of just piece all that together, You try to do it the right way. When you slip up and fall, you got to get right back up and make sure that doesn't linger. And like I said, it's important that you try to win now. So as we proceed forward, this is a big year for us. Why? Because it's the next year, and we want to win more games we did last year.
All right. Coach, I have to tell you my favorite Schnellenberger story. You were in it. I don't know if you remember this or not, but we used to have a sideline luncheon. And I would do a Q&A with Coach, and then we'd take questions from the audience as well, and we'd talk about the game. And he always brought up a player of the game. And for this particular game, as you often were, you were his player of the game, so he brings you. Now, Coach was really nice. He put up with me. We had a lot of fun, and we got big crowds. We had to move it into the Kentucky Center for the Arts in the lobby. It got a lot of people out there. And sometimes I got a little too loose. And I remember I said, he introduced you, he goes, "Well, I'd like to bring up the player of the game, our quarterback, Mr. Jeff Brohm." So you come up, and I remember I go, "Hey, Jeff," I go, "thanks for throwing that last touchdown. You covered the spread." And I went, boom, high five. And back then, folks, you couldn't talk about a point spread with a college athlete. Now I think you could probably be okay with it, but you could not talk about gambling on a game. As soon as I said it, I knew, oh, this is a mistake. So Coach pulls me aside after you're finished. He goes, "Come here for a second." I knew it was coming. I go, "Yes, sir." He goes, "You're an idiot, aren't you?" I go, "I am an idiot." He goes, "I am sorry." He goes, "I know you're sorry. You're damn sorry." And I go, "Coach, I'm really sorry." He would not let it go. He just grinded me to death, and it was a mistake. I don't know if you remember that, but I guess it's time for me to apologize to you.
Well, you know what? Just like I've asked you before, because you've helped us out a lot at University of Louisville football, even since I've been back, so we appreciate that. But the impersonations you do are second to none. You've always been around the University of Louisville and helped us out and been a big part of it. But you know what? Those relationships that you've built with Coach Schnellenberger, with Muhammad Ali, those are things you'll cherish your whole life. But that's what makes this kind of place great, is it just everybody's a part of it. They all have their role. They play it. When normally the team and the university is at its best is when everybody's doing their part and everybody feels like they're have an important piece to this, and really you do. I mean, players, when they come in here, recruits, they want to see fans in the stands. They want to see people on Twitter talking about them. They want to see all those things. So the more people involved, the better chance you have to succeed. And I just think that there's so many Louisville ties with myself and people on our staff and players that, these people here know we're invested. And of course, they want wins, but we want to deliver, and we want to get it done and have fun doing it. And that's what makes it fun, is finding a way to tell people across the country that no, the University of Louisville can win at a high level, and we can do it every year. And it's about proving ourselves. And every year you do, your name and your brand goes up even higher and higher. We just want to continue to build that.
I love your passion and commitment. It's got me fired up about the season. I can't wait. Okay, back to you. People don't know this, and I want to sing your praises on this one. You were the original Deion Sanders. Okay, people may not remember, but you were actually drafted. I think was it the Indians? Was it Cleveland? Okay, Cleveland Indians draft you. For a while, you were doing both. You were playing football and baseball during the summer, and you were going back and forth. I think that was a tougher decision for you than maybe some people realize. Your career could have went in a whole different direction. I think you'd have won in either sport. You were that kind of athlete. But was that decision tough for you? And what really did it come down to when you said, okay, I'm going to commit totally to football?
Well, that was an interesting time. I think, the thing about me growing up, I was very shy. I didn't talk a whole lot. I didn't go out a whole lot. I was built, I liked to compete in sports. I tried to excel in academics. I didn't have a big social life. So, I spent a lot of time just trying to perfect the craft that I had. So, luckily, I was blessed with some talent as well, and a lot of great coaches. So I was able to have some success. But I was just had some inner drive to get that done. So, playing all the sports was important to me. I tried to excel in all of them. I had the opportunity to play baseball and football at a high level. And at the time, believe it or not, football was more exciting to me. I didn't really know a whole lot about baseball and what all, in high school.
So it stimulated you more.
Yeah, what all went into the draft and how long you could play and all those things. Football was more exciting. So as I look back on it, even though I had a good career, I think I could have played longer in baseball. I was faster. I had some skill. I just didn't know much about the game, and didn't know that this scrawny little 6'1" quarterback probably should have chosen a different sport. But I got to this point, I think, just because I was a competitor. But trying to play both was a lot of fun for me because it just kind of kept me active. I remember my first year in college when the football season got over, I was used to kind of going to basketball and baseball. And, after a couple of months, I'm like, my gosh, what's there to do here? There's nothing to do. And that's kind of when the Cleveland Indians came back and drafted me because I was drafted the year before by the Expos, but told them I wasn't going to play. They drafted me again and said, would you be interested in playing part-time? And I said, you know what, heck yeah, I'm bored to death. I'd love to play. And, of course, that's when Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders were doing that.
You're a competitor.
You know what? It was a lot of fun to play quarterback and do it. It was a little tougher because the quarterback position
So demanding.
It requires a lot of study, kind of a different motion. As an athlete, it's a little slightly easier because you don't have to just really concentrate on being the smartest guy on the field and really working on your football motion because the two motions are different. So I just said, it's about time I make a choice, and I chose football.
Well, whatever you've done, you've been successful at, and I have no doubt you'd have been on an all-star team in baseball as well. I want to talk more about one more thing because I think it's important to the fan base, certainly important to me, is we've talked a lot about character, but your family, I mean the Brohms and so many great athletes, you got Greg, Brian, your dad Oscar, it goes on, and it continues. So how much does that legacy mean to you? I mean, I think it's nice that you are able to see your family, obviously being here in Louisville, and your mom and dad can enjoy you, but talk about what that means to you, because it is a name that people really respect in this town, and you've earned it, but what does it mean to you?
Well, it definitely means a lot. My father was one of 9, and my mom was one of 6. My mom's mom was one of 15. So we have cousins throughout this town that I don't even really have never met. But we have a huge nucleus of people that are all kind of involved and support us along the way. And so that makes a huge umbrella of a great nucleus of really good people that have been around for a long time, that have watched us play and compete and do things. But without question, it starts with my father and mother. My father was a good athlete himself. He loved sports. He's retired from the workforce. He was a CPA for a long time at the Courier-Journal, WHAS, the city of Louisville. But then he volunteered and coached football at Trinity after I played. Really, my younger brother played for him, but he was just a volunteer coach that helped out. He's been doing it for over 25 years now. He doesn't want to give it up. And he loves sports. He comes around all the time. He's in the office probably too much. Even my younger brother Brian said, "Hey, what are you over here for still?" So he loves being around. My mom was a great athlete herself.
I heard that she was fantastic.
Very good athlete, very supportive as well. But my father Oscar's one of those guys. Even now, he can tell stories. He can tell a ton of stories. He's a good storyteller. But he will brag on his son still. So every time he kind of starts, I say, well, I guess he's my agent. He loves to talk about it. So I applaud him for that, and I appreciate that. But he just loves being around it. And he definitely feels the support of the town, and it makes him happy. I know when 4 or 5 years ago when I didn't come back to Louisville, they were angry about a full year. It took about a full year to kind of get over that, which I understand. But they just really are passionate about this town. It's where they live their whole life, and they love people. They love talking. And
I don't want to forget your sister either.
No, she was a good athlete, and played 3 sports in college and all those things. So we just were blessed with some talent at certain things. We try to utilize it, but at the same time, they were good people and taught us how to, a good work ethic and how to treat people, and sent us to good schools that helped teach us as well. So we just were around a big collaboration of really good people, as you know, in this town, because it's a special place that you appreciate that and utilize that to help yourself become better.
Okay, Coach, before I let you go, last question here, okay? I've talked to some of your assistant coaches, and if there's one thing I think that we all can recognize, it's authenticity, or when someone's genuine. And they say, this team's going to be even better than last year. They feel that. Now, I know there's no guarantees there. And there's always, certain glitches, or something happens in a schedule, injuries, things we, knock on wood, hopefully doesn't happen. But with that being said, what brand of football will the Cardinal fans see? What do you feel strongly about the strengths of this team?
Well, we want to play exciting brand of football, and we're always going to try to do that. I think our defense played at a high level last year, especially the first 3/4 of the season. We want to be great on defense. That means being physical, hitting a quarterback, creating turnovers, being very aggressive in our approach. On offense, we'd like to create some big plays and score a lot of points. And that sometimes comes by the air, which we like, but last year we ran the ball well. So you got to just utilize the talent to the best of your ability. But we want to make it fun and exciting to watch. And I think my coaches will tell you, I try to be right off the field and treat them right, but they do know game day is a different story. And I tell them all the time, I said, our players need to see that we're trying to win. They need to see it in our face, in our passion, and our desire to win. So what I say during the game to you, I'll apologize to you beforehand, but we're going to be out there to win, and want our players to see it. And I just think if you have that mentality for 60 minutes, good things are going to happen. You're not going to give in when things go a different or a bad direction. So I just think that's how we try to approach it, have some fun doing it, but we're looking forward to this season. We want everybody to come out and support us, and let's go ahead and try to have some fun and win some games.
Coach, I've seen that intense side of you, man. But also, you're a nice guy, as is your family. Again, thank you for spending time with us. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, John.
Once again, head coach of the Louisville Cardinals, Mr. Jeff Brohm. And again, thank you for watching Gaining Interest. Legato Financial Group, thank you so much for powering our efforts. We appreciate your support, and we appreciate you watching as well. Hey, spread the word with your friends. Again, it is Gaining Interest, Legato Financial Group, and Coach Jeff Brohm. We'll see you next time.